Hey everybody, it's savagelandsnews coming in with game number 2 of our Armory Series. Alright, so we're 1-1 with both players. This is Azalea versus Rhinar. Starting the game off with a clean sigil, over pitching into a claw just to clear my hand, put something in arsenal. You can see that I have Oasis there. Not very good on the first turn. But this is Azalea before the new cards, so, you know, obviously it's going to be a little different after this video. Now, she kind of is a killer deck, we just saw. But I think the game plan for Rhinar will stay similar, right? I mean, maybe we're going to have to up D-Reacts at some point in time, but I'm not really sure. But so far, I think we have a pretty clean game plan into Azalea. A lot of her on-hits don't hurt us as bad as they hurt other heroes. So you're going to see that I'm going for the typical kind of defensive healing version of Rhinar and then stalling for blood rushes, right? So yeah, and we got that immediately, right? We got our sigil. We're at 43, amazing start to this game. Unfortunately, we weren't really able to rip too many cards out of her hand or get any good cards for her to block with, but that's fine. So yeah, starting off with Death Dealer, opting, got a Drill Shot in there. Drill Shot is one of those few cards that kind of just is annoying for us to deal with in this matchup, simply because, you know, it's going to eat armor at times we really didn't want to use our armor. So keep that in mind. Yeah, just dominated a drill shot here, right?
I don't really like to dominate that much, but
so, you know, we know that we're going to end up getting hit with this. So we're going to end up having to stuff it with our armor anyways. Not really our favorite thing to do is use armor this early, like turn 1, right? Normally, I like to keep my armor as long as I possibly can because some of the later on-hits are really relevant. But, you know, if they're going to give us a counter anyways, we might as well block it. So you'll see me sinking there. We're executing the game plan of digging for blood rushes as fast as possible. So pretty much anytime I use a Fate Foreseen or Sink Below in this matchup, it's going to be to dig, unless it is a turn where my hand is pretty great, right?
Scabskins?
So we got a 4-card hand, counting our arsenal, so we want to go for the Scabskins here. We didn't get it.
No action. Well, 1 action. Yep.
This is just a patience kind of game plan, right? Pitch the blue, let's chip some damage in, Alpha Rampage, double Intimidate. So they'll be able to... They'll be able to block still with 2 cards, maybe even a 3rd one from their arsenal, but a lot of Ranger cards don't block that well, and typically they want to have most of their hand. So you're going to see a lot of the time Rangers would just take the damage, and here it's like, okay, clean 9, you know, we'll take the damage, right? Get them low enough. Both Azalea and Lexi really struggle if you get them in the blocking range, right? That's kind of where the Ranger decks start to fall apart, and that's the only way you can really win is to make them the block. If you don't get them in the blocking range fast enough, you know, they just present too many on-hits and too much damage, right? Azalea goes super tall, Lexi goes super wide, right? So we're just trying to make them take as much damage as possible, make it awkward for them to block here, right? Just do 9. It's about as much as we can do with a single card. So we'll take it. Our opponent's just thinking. You know, like the Intimidate really makes it kind of hard, right?
That's the best. Until he's not.
Makes it really hard. Because blocking with a Rabble here is... It's kind of rough, right? Like, you don't want to block with a Rabble. Okay, taking 4, blocked with the Rabble. They blocked 5 there. So, a 2 and a 3 block. But yeah, got 4 chip damage in. Got a Rabble out of the way. You'd love to see that. Rabbles are annoying. Azalea doesn't really run blues because of Death Dealer. So, Rabbles typically come in for 4 go again, which is why they're so good in her deck, right? So getting one out of the way there, not bad. Opt, using their legendary helmet.
gonna play that, just make that not relevant anymore.
Okay, getting the knock the death whistle out of the way. Like to see that, right? It's a very powerful card. Kind of rough to get it in this early. But looking at, you can kind of take a peek at the deck there, right? They have sigils, they have rabbles, very typical old version of Azalea, you know? A lot of opt-in cards, and then, you know, her hard-hitting arrows like Remorseless and all of that. But new Azalea, terrifying. Every arrow has a terrifying on-hit. It is very hard to deal with. I'll do my best to capture some Rhinar versus Azalea games, Lexi games. Because these new cards are pretty good, man. They're pretty good. Tome is kind of cracked. Or Codex is cracked, right?
Really want to break my stuff.
So they're going for another drill shot. Pretty much, it's not a bad idea this early, right? Forcing my armor is kind of obnoxious. I would love to keep my armor for Blood Rush turns and for stuff like that, right? Like block with a card from hand, use my equipment suite of Blood Rush and not have to lose anything. But so it's a pretty decent play, to be honest. It's too early for them to go fetch like the big turns, you know what I mean? All right. So it goes on top. We know it's there. It's a drill shot. Okay. So we're probably going to see the swap with the hero ability. Yep. Boom, boom. Azalea. Dominated drill shot. Coming on in. 4 dominate. Taking our boots. So in just two arrows, they've ripped our boots away from us. Sucks.
I'm gonna break my stuff. I might as well block with it.
Yeah, but I mean that we had no choice but to block with it there, because if we let it hit, it's just gonna get a marker anyways, and we'd rather just use it than lose it. But again, we kind of got to keep our whole hand, because one of the drawbacks of Azalea dominating everything is that, like, you know, we get to keep our whole hand, right? So we're gonna.
Savage Feast.
Yep, so pitch a blue, Savage Feast, 1 action point left, gonna do an Intimidate, draw a card off the top, 2 float. So we're looking at a minimum of 12 damage here because we have a claw, and hopefully, any card we drew plus Tunic is another claw. So minimum 12 damage coming his direction, right? Thanks to Tunic, Savage Feast has basically a floor of 12, which is great. If you pitch a blue. Which you should, if you're gonna play Savage Feast. So just making it awkward. We're gonna shove some damage down. Oh, here there's another Rhinar in the back there. Taking 3.
3 more?
3 more. Go again from the discarding with 6.
No flip. Declare now.
Taking 3. Yep. Toming. So we're just going for more health here. The last card I probably didn't want to pitch into it. And so it's just to clear my arsenal, right?
A lot of life over there, man. Yeah.
Just clear our arsenal, go up to 46. Pretty sweet, to be honest. And then I just have to think about what I want to put in my pocket here.
That was your last action point, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all good.
Yep. Sorry, I'm going in the hole. I'm just thinking about relevant on hits that they could hit me with, and whether or not, like, something like a Blood Rush would get lost in my arsenal, or if I should pocket a 2-cost card to make my Blood Rush better, right? That's kind of the thoughts I was going through. Like, what's safest to put in my arsenal against Azalea, because, you know, we know that there are some turns where they're going to hit us with stuff we don't like. So Rain Razors.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. I will just.
Death Dealer.
Death Dealer, draw a card. So much card advantage with Azalea, it's kind of crazy. They can run so little blues because of Death Dealer. So Seek and Destroy.
Headshot, natural 6, so 11.
11.
That on hit.
11, no dominate, Seek and Destroy on hit.
That is going to, cards you don't play get discarded. No, destroy my arsenal after you turn.
So it's 11 damage, but we have a Blood Rush, right? So we know we're going to lose our arsenal, so we just have no choice here, right? We're just going to eat it, our massive advantage just kind of gone a little bit. We're still leading by 5 because thanks to the healing. So we're basically looking at like, okay, you did 11 to me. I'm gonna do more than 11 back.
Only reason I'd ever take 11. Go high. Low.
Yep. Okay, CNC gone. You know, sometimes I like to end with a CNC against the Rangers on a Blood Rush. I mean, it's like, you know, a little less damage, 2 less damage than normal, but it is pretty sweet to rip their whole arsenal away from them, you know what I mean?
Claw for 5, go again.
Okay, drew a D-React, not our favorite thing. We're going to lose our entire hand anyways. Look at that. They managed to get the Sync, or the Fate Foreseen there. Only going to take 1 damage from her Claw. Unfortunate. We would have hoped that they had a bunch of Ranger 2 blocks in their hand here.
Great. Yeah. Take 1?
Claw for 5, go again.
Reactions?
Another one. Really unfortunate here, man. Stuffing our entire Blood Rush, and he draws another D-React. Delicious.
Because no one really plays it that much anymore. Yeah. So it's like,
Alpha.
No, just 1 intimidation.
Okay, so it's super clean Blood Rush, 21 damage Blood Rush. That's pretty much the best, and we didn't hit the D-React. So they triple stuffed us.
To get that.
Triple stuffed our D-React, our Blood Rush turn. So crazy, unfortunate luck, right?
Take 6.
Basically ripped every one of their D-Reacts on our most powerful turn.
5. Take 5.
So taking 5. Still got damage through because, you know, Alpha Rampage is a great card. I used to think it was bad, but it is not. It is very, very good, in my opinion, especially against turtley decks, but, you know, neither here nor there. So, we're 12 points ahead of our opponent, which is pretty great, but we know that they run sigils, right? So we're actually not that far ahead of them. We're only about 9 points ahead of them if you count our sigils versus theirs.
the next card
It's actually pretty interesting. Oh yeah, when I hit that, I missed it. 3-2.
So our opponent's thinking between drawing a card or doing 7.
Because the draw card is really
About equivalent value, but it will help them on their spike turn next turn, and it helps with their hero ability, right? And it just helps with her ability to like do damage in general, right?
call it 7.
Okay, so clean 7.
and then paying, so 1 float.
And we're in the tank. So we have a D-React here, but it's the, you know, Reckless Swing.
Still costs 1.
So we could stuff this, but we'd lose a whole card advantage, and then obviously there's a non-6 in our hand right there with Barrage and Beatdown.
So I intimidated.
So it's a little bit of a conundrum. I think I can't quite see my other hand. I need to. I'm gonna buy a better mount so the camera will be more centered, so we can see our hands here. That'd be cool. I'll go ahead and do that. So blocking with one of the non-6s, and then pitching into Oasis.
Are you sinking? Or are you... No, paying for Oasis. I didn't realize that was...
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought it was a D-React at first.
Unfortunately, both of our Oasis, I only have 2 in this matchup, didn't line up with a Tunic counter, which is like really how you take advantage of that card. But I'm just going to end up passing. I think that was a Blood Rush I put in my arsenal, but I'm not positive.
Goes to the bottom, I draw 3 cards.
So, unfortunate. Our opponent gets to keep all 4 cards.
Even 4.
Not really where we want to be as a Rhinar. And there's another Blood Rush in my hand. So I think there's a Blood Rush in my hand and a Blood Rush in my pocket. So here is a super unfortunate Wombo combo. Let's see how they play it out. Yeah. Seek and Destroy and Remorseless. So normally I would want to play 1 Blood Rush and then the other one because that's how you get real value out of it. I'll be on 3 with my Tunic, which means I can probably afford a pretty raw Blood Rush from my hand. And that way I can activate my claws 2 turns in a row instead of just buffing every card by 2 additional. But now if I don't play both of the cards, I will lose my Blood Rush, right? Can't do that, not in this matchup. So now we're staring down 10 damage, 2 relevant on hits, Remorseless and Seek and Destroy, and we have 2 Blood Rushes. We got caught, right? So pretty much worst case scenario. You know, the only thing that would make this worse is if it was like a red in the ledger and a seek and destroy, then we'd be mad. Taking 10.
10?
So now we're pretty close to tied, right? They're outvaluing us a bit because we went all the way up to 46 at one point, right? So, you know, we're getting a little bit outvalued here, but we have a double blood rush turn.
Yep. I was gonna make sure those others are no.
Okay, so 2 on hits relevant, going up to 3 on our tunic. This is pretty good. Pretty decent scenario. Double blood rushing with a tunic is fine. Again, we'd prefer to cascade them across 2 turns instead of doing it in 1 turn. But, you know, taking a damage from Remorseless.
A little high. High.
Oh, lost their CNC again. Draw. Yep. Unfortunately stuck.
2. Oh wait, no,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Okay, lost our...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So double intimidate. I should take a damage here. I believe we caught it a little bit.
I got stuck, yeah.
Oh wait, that's minus 2 life.
Yeah, I took 1 already. Sorry.
Okay, so there we go. Taking that remorseless damage. 23 to 23. It's tied.
7.
Oh, 7.
Did we forget a...
Crazy.
Did we forget a resource there? We did. Let's see if that matters. We forgot a resource.
It's fucked up.
Right?
It's a fucked up turn.
I'm going to lose my whole hand.
We don't lose a life from
Yeah, you only
remorseless
have 1 action
there.
point after.
Because
I mean, I
it's
guess you could scab
claw.
somewhere in there if I really want to.
I hope that this didn't come down to a floating resource.
I was going to lose the one.
Sometimes when you're just, you know, like you're thinking so far in the future, trying to double blood rush, thinking of your perfect hand, and then you have tunic in your brain and all that kind of stuff going on. It's so easy to forget this stuff, which is why he laid those cards out, right?
So you actually lose like exponential value playing 2.
And here I'm explaining why playing 2 blood rushes is bad, typically.
I'll take this 7. 16.
7.
Pitch a yellow.
Fuck me.
7 more.
We're gonna take a hit.
7.
9.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't matter.
11.
Is there an intimidate?
No.
It didn't matter at all. Okay, that's fine. I feel better now.
Reaction. 6.
So 7, 8, 9, 10,
6,
11.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, minus 5, 4, 5, 6. It's only 5, right?
Oh, it's only 5?
Yeah, so he was about to take 6 damage, and then, you know, we mathed it out again.
Well, I mean, that's still good.
Math is hard sometimes, man. Especially, we drink at the Portland game stores a lot of the time, so, you know, I'm probably on my 2nd IPA here.
Good thing you put those out. It is really easy to
But
forget.
it's okay, we recovered. That one resource floating shouldn't be floating there, right? But it didn't end up consuming our tunic at all, and it made no difference at the end of that play at all. So no big deal. But we got a massive blood rush off, right? We did our game plan, executed, right? Play all 3 blood rushes. Now we're in close mode. And what does that mean? Most likely an alpha rampage or a massive scab skins turn, right? That's how we're going to close this game. So we're going to want to find an alpha rampage, you know, a savage feast or a barraging beatdown and put them in our arsenal, and then we're going to want to go for it. Especially because ranger cards don't block that well. We do one pretty decent turn. I mean, honestly, we'll close it with an alpha rampage if we find one, but we'll do a decent turn with, like, you know, one of those cards, and then we can kill him with Reckless Fang. So boom, just filtering, trying to find one of those magic cards to stick in my pocket.
Release the tension. Hold the shot for 7.
Health preservation mode here, right? Let's try and keep our health a little bit up while threatening a little bit of damage.
Digging for pump so hard because, like, you know, 3 arrows, can't do shit with it. That's why I had to blind Azalea. I'll take the east one.
Because now he's in blocking mode, right?
4? Take 4.
Every time we send 6, we're gonna probably rip. We're gonna rip the first time at least 1 card from his hand. If he ever goes to 2, then we know we can close it with Reckless. So we're just gonna look for those intimidate cycles, right? Make blocking awkward. Hopefully rip the 3 blocks from his hand. Here we were literally just going for Tunic Blue 2 cost, so we could claw on 2 cost and just keep ripping cards out of his hand. But we didn't get it. But that's why I did that, right? The Tunic floating would mean that I could. With a 4, I could claw off this, going for 9, and intimidate, which would mean he'd probably guarantee leak damage because of all those 2 blocks, or basically not be able to do anything on his turn at all.
Reactions. Game 3. Net 0.
Okay, net 0. Boom. 1 sigil out of the way. Here we go, and just there's one of those. There's some intimidate cards in my hand. Bone shot buffed. 7 go again, but you know he can't reload. So NBD. Yep. Gonna stick one of those intimidate cards in my pocket.
Double 1 time. Skeps.
Still no hits. It's fine. Swing big. One of the best make you block cards in the game. Azalea does pretty good with Quicken tokens, to be honest.
It is kind of sick in Azalea. But
Yeah, Quicken is kind of scary, Azalea. But, you know, what we're really trying to do is just stall the game until we find the alpha rank. So giving them, you know, giving them a Quicken token doesn't really matter. Because we're ripping cards every turn for the rest of the game.
Walk out. 9?
Yep.
Or 8?
Quick in. Okay, so he only has 1 card in hand.
I'm just going to take up Tunic.
Yep, Arsenal. So, you know, we're just digging. Dig, dig, dig. Probably gonna, if we don't find it, we're gonna scabs again. Just keep ripping cards. Yep, keep ripping.
This dice is cursed.
No action point once again. So here I'm evaluating how much more patient I want to be, because like we can probably make his turn a little awkward to block if we use that, but then we don't have it in our pocket. So it's like, how long do I push for something here, or do I keep with the game plan, which is find an alpha rampage? It's kind of what's going through my head, right? It's hard to be patient in this game sometimes. Especially with that Quicken token on the table. I don't really want to get hit with 2 back-to-back on hits. I don't want to lose tempo here. You know, we're kind of in control right now. But, you know, 5 card hand into Quicken token, we could easily lose control. Like, instantly. Yep. So we're just sticking with the game plan. Okay. Command and Conquer. Did have a D react in his hand, so that makes that a little awkward. Block 6. Unfortunately, we couldn't overpitch there, otherwise we would have tried to get another card out of our hand, but hey. We got a D react now.
Hold the counter. Play Deadeye.
Yep.
Golden shot for 6.
6 go again.
I should have opted, but I don't really care. So like that's the line.
Okay, there is a relevant on hit, right? It has go again. There is a relevant on hit. But it doesn't really matter because there's no resources. So if it's, unless it's a 0 cost arrow, right? The on hit's irrelevant. So we got to swing big. Stall card turn again.
Any attack reaction? No, I should block.
So we stuff it.
That is true.
Believe I opted here,
Yeah.
and I saw the alpha on top, if I remember correctly, and I was like, oh, goody. That's why I didn't put it to the bottom. I believe that's what happened. It's been almost 2 weeks since this game took place. So, I'm going off of foggy memory here. So yeah, opponent's probably scouting for threats left in our deck and what he really needs to be worried about. But that's okay. So we're once again doing the ultimate stall turn, which is swing big. And then we're going to execute our game plan, hopefully next turn if we draw a blue and a 6. And I'm thinking, okay, I can definitely probably get that chip in here if I swing big claw. Is it worth it? But I could lose my turn. I don't want to lose my turn here, right? But I could. Could pretty much seal it with 11 damage and ranger cards that block 2, right? I could probably seal it out. But it's not worth the risk. Swing big's too much of a valuable card.
Reaction.
Okay. 2-card hand again, stuffing our swing big, getting another D-react out of the way.
Let me think if I want to save it.
You're good.
Yep. Alright, so our opponent. There, I think we got it, right? Yep, I think that's the alpha on the bottom, right? Right? Yeah, I think so. So yeah, execute our game plan next turn, as long as he doesn't prevent 14.
Breaks quickly.
I know.
Okay.
That's all I have options.
I know, I just make sure. In case you had like another play or something.
Oh, I think that smiley face was supposed to be over another part of
That's what I wanted.
the video. Oops.
I'll take
I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be over another part of the video. Oh, yep. It was supposed to be over the last game. You'll see in the next video. I cut this piece. I cut it was one big video. I cut it into 3, and then there we go.
discard Alpha Rampage 4.
Alpha Rampage, Quad Intimidate. All right. So there we have it, right? It is old Azalea, so keep that in mind. She did change quite a bit with the new version, the new cards. She is much more consistent. Ponder tokens are a real problem, and Tome is pretty strong, right? But I think the game plan versus her, so far in my testing, will stay pretty similar, right? Lexi, on the other hand, we're going to have to figure that one out. That one's hard. But it's all about outvaluing them with the cards that we have available to us at any given time, right? So we're going to be blocking to the best of our ability, swinging a 6, swinging 8. Anytime we are left with extra cards in our hand because of Dominate or something like that, we're going for scabs, right? And then we're really trying to make our blood rushes do max damage, and we want to fire all 3, okay? Now, the places you can get caught is Red in the Ledger, obviously. Seek and Destroy. Those 2 cards can really mess up a blood rush, so don't be too obvious when you have a blood rush, right? Like, don't like give it away. Don't be too predictable with your blood rushes, and you want to kind of dump them pretty fast. As opposed to other matchups where you might be fine with sitting on them for like 2, 3, 4, 5 turns, right? Sometimes you really don't want to sit them that long, but like sometimes you're okay with doing that. In this matchup, you give them too long, they're gonna figure out a way to delete it, and then you're gonna be really upset. So yeah, just maximize our life advantages, use D-reacts intelligently, stop the prevalent on hits, use your armor on those big blood rush turns, and then just do too much damage, right? Because the key is to get Azalea to block. When she starts blocking, it's pretty hard for her to come back, you know, a lot of 2 block cards in her deck. She does want a lot of cards to like go tall and opt and do all of that kind of stuff. If she doesn't have the best time on 2-card hands, right? So quicker you get them to blocking, the better. All right. Well, we'll see you for game 3 next. Finals against another Briar. See you next week.